Resistance to change is often cited as one of the biggest obstacles to organizational change. However, it doesn't need to be. You can prevent it. Stay tuned. In this video, I want to share with you 3 traps that deceive you into believing that your employees or team members or colleagues are resistant to change. Several years ago, I ran a half marathon. The night before the race, all the runners were invited to a spaghetti dinner. It was thought that the carbohydrate loading increased muscle glycogen, and that would offer us some extra energy for the race the following day. I'm not sure if the dinner helped. Maybe it did. I really believe that my success in completing that race had more to do with my preparation during the 8 months leading up to race day. Now, imagine this scenario. 3 weeks before the race, I asked my friend, "Hey, why don't you come and join me?" When she raises some concerns about her fitness or her sore knees, I reassure her, "Oh, don't worry, I've been training. We'll do some running and we'll have a spaghetti dinner the night before the race." If she continues raising concerns and won't run, I say, "You're just resistant to change. You said you wanted to exercise more." And I tell her she has to run. Just so that you know, I didn't and wouldn't do that. Had I done so, not only would I have not been a very good friend, but I would have also set her up for failure and injury. Yet, this type of scenario unfolds in organizations every day. Employees are surprised and unprepared for changes. They face unrealistic timelines and then are labeled resistant to change when they raise objections. They are told, "You must change to keep your jobs." Right? In the comment section, if you've had a similar scenario in your organization or in your life. It's that scenario and similar scenarios in your organization that leads you to fall into the 3 traps that will begin a toxic cycle of change for your organization. Trap number 1, the belief that people resist change. The first trap is interpreting the objections, concerns, or the unwillingness for change as evidence that people resist change. And it's easy to fall into this trap when you're working with a resistant mindset. That is the belief that people resist change and that your role as a leader is to manage that resistance. When you hold this mindset, your brain misinterprets normal human responses to change as resistance. And then this misinterpretation can lead to various unhelpful and unproductive actions. For example, you may dismiss or downplay the concerns and objections of key people who must adopt the new activities. That's what happened in one organization. The leaders believed it was a small, almost insignificant change for their organization. They were going to move a small group of people from a suburban office to their downtown office. When the employees began to complain, and because most of the complaints, not all of them, were about working downtown, the leaders dismissed those complaints as resistance. They insisted the decision had been made and that the employees had no choice but to relocate to the downtown office. It was only when a leader from another department in that suburban office, who had not been involved in the decision to relocate the team, began raising concerns about how the work that that small team did for his department was going to be completed, that the leaders paused and stopped to investigate. It turned out the small group being moved was an integral part of the workflow for a much larger department. And most of the work required people to be physically present. I've done a previous video on how a resistant mindset tricks you into seeing resistance where there is none, and I will post it in the show notes below. The second trap is believing that your role as leader is to sell the change. When you use a tell-sell approach to change, it's easy to overlook the readiness that people need to navigate the journey. What is required for them to adopt those new activities and behaviors. Your role as a leader is not to sell people on the event. To create healthy and sustainable change, you must create the conditions and the environment that invites, enables people to navigate the change journey. The third trap is confusing buy-in with commitment. I hear leaders say, I don't know what happened. Everyone bought into the change, and now things are stalling out and people are resisting. They're frustrated. They want to push harder. They don't understand why things are stalling out, and they default to the belief that people are resistant to change. The problem is, or isn't, resistance. The problem is that they have misinterpreted their employees' buy-in about the event for the commitment needed to adopt the new activities and behaviors. Buy-in is necessary. However, it's not sufficient to enable change. Buy-in represents yours or my agreement about the need or the desire to change. For example, I may agree, I need to exercise more, but that doesn't mean I will. Commitment is stronger, and it comes after buy-in. It represents our willingness to act, to do what's uncomfortable, to persevere through what's needed to achieve that intended outcome, that new state. When you misinterpret buy-in as commitment, it's easy then to become frustrated and label people as resistant to change when they fail to take action, or don't follow through, or fall back on previous behaviors. As a result, you push harder, making the situation worse instead of better. These traps make enabling change in your organization and your own lives more difficult. They can create resistance where there is none. If you're ready to break the cycle of resistance and build readiness, reach out today. Let's have a conversation about how adopting and using the Readiness Mindset system will help you avoid these traps and enable you to work with people's innate ability to change. That's it for now. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Bye for now.